Hey guys, it's your Abriah, Serenity. I'm back at you with another prophetic word. And this prophetic word is about finances. The Lord really wants to bless his children's finances in a supernatural way. And there's some things that he needs us to know. Lead me to Matthew chapter 14, verses 13 through 20. And 21. I'm going to go through that passage for you guys. It's short. And verse 13, it reads, "When Jesus heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude, and he was moved with compassion towards them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, This is a desert place, and time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the village and buy themselves victuals. Jesus said unto them, They need not depart, give ye them to eat. And they say unto him, We here have but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He said, Bring them hither to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass. And they took 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake and gave loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat and were filled. And they took up the fragments that remained in the 12 baskets. And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, beside women and children." That was Matthew chapter 14, verses 13 through 21. And the Lord wants us to know that he really wants to bless our finances in a supernatural way. But we must set aside something for him to bless. Okay? The Lord is saying there must be something set aside for him to bless. So that could mean that there's a part of your finances that you're withholding from God. It could mean that you're not sowing when he moves you to sow. It could mean that there's a part of your finances that he needs you to devote to him that you're not willing to devote to him. It could also mean that the Lord is telling you to set aside your labor for something having to do with his kingdom. Okay? Note how it says, we have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And the Lord is saying, even with 5 loaves and 2 fish, I can feed a multitude. Okay, 5,000 men beside women and children, with 5 loaves and 2 fish. And many of us think that we have not, and so we give not. We withhold from God. We don't give. We think we got to save what little we have. But the Lord is saying, even with what little you have, I will bless it and use it to feed and bless a multitude of people. Okay? The Lord will take what we have, even the lesser, and use it to bless thousands. The Lord multiplies for his purpose, not our enjoyment alone. Okay? If the Lord has been calling you to set money aside, maybe he's not calling you to sow. Maybe you are already sowing, but there's a part of your finances he's saying there's something that you need to set aside for me to bless. There's something that I need you to set aside for me to bless. One incident where the Lord had me put a specific amount of money to the side, and he told me not to touch it. He didn't tell me what that money was for. He didn't say what he was going to use it for. I wasn't to use it for any type of emergency or anything like that. He said, put this money to the side and don't touch it. That our finances have to have a greater purpose. And he said to shift our mindsets from scraping by to sowing with purpose. That everything that we do with our money, let it have purpose. Let us not be meaningless with our spending. Let us not just be ordering things just because. If you're using your money as a tool, let it be with intention. Let it have purpose. Okay, let it not be emotionally led. The Lord is also saying today, declare the word of God over your finances and make necessary changes. So if you are constantly eating out, if you are constantly spending money on things that you don't need to spend money on, if you're constantly putting yourself in position to owe money, getting new credit cards and maxing them out, knowing that you can't pay it back, and using what little you have to pay it off, the Lord is saying, make the necessary changes that you have to make. Learn how to budget. Eat more at home. Plan things ahead. Plan your meals ahead of time. Don't buy something every time you feel compelled to buy something. The Lord is saying, have self-control and discipline with your finances. Make those necessary changes. He's also saying that many of his children are in need, and they don't know what they're going to do. A lot of them are in this position where they're expecting the Lord to provide in a supernatural way, and they only have 5 loaves and 2 fish. And a lot of them are looking for handouts. They think that the way they're going to get through is that somebody's going to give them something. They think that the Lord is going to have someone deliver into their hands what the Lord wants them to have. And the Lord is saying, no handouts. Also saying, if you have not been doing the work, you cannot reap what has not been sowed. So there's a lot of people out here who are not plowing. They're just expecting. They're just like, gimme. Oh, this person needs to give me this person needs to give me that, or this person needs to sow into me and that person needs to sow into me. And that's not to say that those things are inaccurate. But the Lord is saying that work must be done. Workers must plow for the harvest. You cannot reap what has not been sowed. And a lot of people think, oh, sowing in terms of finances, sowing in terms of work. But the Lord is like, no, sowing in terms of ministry. Sowing in terms of doing what I have called you to do. Doing what's difficult. Doing things that you don't want to do. The plow may look different for everybody. For some, plowing is getting up every day at 6 a.m. and cracking that word open and worshiping the Lord. Plowing some days is showing up for people when you have nothing. Plowing some days is fasting and praying. Not even for financial relief, not even for financial supernatural provision, but just fasting for yourself. Plowing looks like giving to the poor when you are poor. Plowing looks like doing a work when it looks like nothing's going to come out of it. Plowing is starting that YouTube channel and not knowing where it's going to go. Plowing is showing up to do a work the Lord has called you to do, not knowing what fruit it will yield or when and what season it will yield. In what season you will receive harvest. But you're doing things with not an expectation of immediate return, but doing it in obedience to God because you love Him and you desire to please Him. The Lord is saying, do not doubt for the little that you have. He can multiply anything. And it'll be in a way where you won't even expect it. It'll be something that you would have never thought of. Something so seemingly insignificant. Something that you may have thought about once before, but you never thought that it would have blessed you in such a way. He may have given you an idea, and that idea brought forth fruit and harvest in the right season. But the Lord is saying, with even what little you have, I can multiply anything. But the Lord is saying, if you do not set aside anything, if there's nothing in your life that is reserved for the Lord to bless, what can He multiply for you? Okay. If nothing is set aside and reserved for the Lord to bless, what then can He multiply? Sometimes it's not even about setting things to the side if that's not what the Lord has called you to. Sometimes the Lord will use what you have. He'll just use what you have on hand. And it'll seem like nothing. These 5 loaves and 2 fishes seemed like nothing. How could we possibly feed a multitude with 5 loaves and 2 fishes? In Kings chapter 4, it says, so Elisha said to her, what shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in the house? What do you have in the house? And she said, your maidservant has nothing in the house but a jar of oil. Then he said, go borrow vessels from everywhere, from all your neighbors. Empty vessels, do not gather just a few. And when you have come in, you shall shut the door behind you and your sons, then pour it into all those vessels and set aside the full ones. So she went from him and shut the door behind her and her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured it out. Now it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said to her son, bring me another vessel. And he said to her, there is not another vessel. So the oil ceased. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, go sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons live on the rest. She said, I have nothing in the house but a jar of oil. And there's some of you who have something in your possession. There is something in your house. There is something that you have that seems like nothing, that the Lord is going to bless. Something that seems so insignificant that the Lord is going to bless. It could even be as simple as a document. Something that the Lord is going to bless. And when it begins to pour, it will not be cut off until the Lord demands it. And you will be able to pay off your debt. You will be able to start anew. And you will be able to live on the blessing the Lord is getting ready to give you. There is something in your possession that the Lord is going to use to open a door for you. And it is something so seemingly insignificant in your eyes. How could this possibly open a door for me and my son to pay off a debt? How can I live off this? A jar of oil, who would have thought this would be the solution to my problem, that the Lord would have allowed this jar of oil to be the solution to my problem? The Lord begins to bless this thing, this small, seemingly insignificant things. It will begin to pour, and it will begin to pour, and you're going to need more vessels. You're going to need more vessels to help you. You're going to need more vessels to pour into, because it's going to be so much overflow. And for some of you, that may look like a business idea concept. But there is something in your possession. I'm prophesying this to you today. There is something in your possession that is seemingly insignificant that the Lord is going to use to bless you in such a mighty way. And you're going to need a team of people to help you with the overflow. And every debt will be cleared and canceled. And you will be able to live on the blessings of the Lord. I declare it to you this day. There is something in your possession that the Lord is going to bless, and He's going to use it as a solution to your problem. There is something in your possession that the Lord is going to bless and use as a solution to a problem. Be careful not to minimize what you have. Never open your mouth to curse yourself and say that you have nothing, because if you have the Lord, you have everything that you need. Even when it seems like all is lost. What is it that the Lord cannot do? There is something that you have. There is something in your possession. And the Lord is saying today, set aside something for me to bless. He's saying to some of you, set aside something for me to bless. And then others of you, the Lord is saying, there is something in your possession I'm going to use to bless you. Something so seemingly insignificant. And even if it seems like you have nothing, I don't have the money to sow. Even with what you don't have. Know that the Lord has plans to bless you. And the Lord is saying, make whatever changes that you need to make this day. Make whatever changes that you need to make. And not only do this to prepare yourself for the overflow, but do this to get order within yourself. Because a lot of you are struggling financially because you don't know how to handle what little that you have. And in the times to come, there's going to be a shift, and there's going to be a famine in this land. And things are going to get more increasingly difficult as we go into 2025. And you are going to need discipline. You are going to need order. You are going to need to know some form of financial literacy. You're going to need to know how to invest. You're going to need to know how to plan ahead for the things that are going to happen. But you first must learn to steward what it is that you have now. Get in the habit of handling everything that you have now as if you already have what he's trying to give you. Because the blessing the Lord is giving you is going to be such a large amount of money. And it can be very shocking and overwhelming to go from having little to just okay amount of money to having a lot. And you're going to have to know what to do with that. You're going to need people. You're going to need advisors to teach you how to handle that. To bless our finances. He wants us to make necessary changes. Do not curse yourselves and say that you have nothing. You don't have nothing. You have everything. Have the mentality that you have everything, even when it seems like you have nothing. There's something that you have the Lord is going to use, even if it seems like you have nothing. Even if you're homeless in your car. Even if you're homeless. The Lord is saying there's something in you. There's something he's going to do to open the door for you to have exactly what you need. This woman owed money that could only be mended by giving her son as collateral. And he said, go and sell the oil and pay your debt. There's going to be a divine push into entrepreneurship using seemingly nothing. Okay? When God blesses your nothing, it can change your life. Okay? How much more can he do for those who are behind on their rent? How much more can he do for those who are sleeping in their cars, who are facing repossession, credit cards maxed out? He only needs the little you have. He only needs what you already are in possession of. Glory be to God. Glory be to God. He only needs the little that you have. And notice that this woman didn't have to do any hard manual labor. Notice that the disciples, all they had to do was turn it over to God. And it was the Lord who blessed it and multiplied it and broke the bread. Notice that all the woman had to do was give him the jar of oil and just get the vessels. And the man handled the rest. The Lord is not going to allow some of us to obtain this blessing by overworking ourselves into it, because the Lord does not want us to take credit for what he's getting ready to do. The Lord also doesn't want the people around you to see you and think to themselves that it was of your own will, it was of your own strengths that you obtained these things. The Lord needs to be able to get the glory in your situation, and he needs people to see where you were. He needs people to see where you were. And he needs people to see what's happening so that when the blessings pour out, the only person that can get credit is God. The only person who can get credit is God. It's another reason why the Lord is saying no handouts. I'm sure people will sow what they feel led to sow. But the Lord is saying, I'm not having anybody give out handouts, because what I'm getting ready to do is going to be so incredibly supernatural that if people didn't see it with their own two eyes, they wouldn't believe it. If they didn't know you personally, they wouldn't believe it. If they didn't see your journey, they wouldn't believe it. God will get the glory. And he will use the little that you have. He will use your 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He will use just a jar of oil. He will use that insignificant thing in your life and bless you in such a mighty way. And not only will he use it to bless you, he will bless what you have to bless the multitudes. That oil that he gave her, that she sold, was something someone else needed. That 5 loaves and 2 fish fed a multitude of people who were hungry in the desert. What the Lord is going to bless you with is going to bless others. It's not going to be just for your enjoyment. He's going to use your nothing to bless you and exalt you and bring you up and establish you. And in turn, you will use the overflow to bless a multitude of people. Insignificant being the solution to a seemingly huge problem that will also be used to bless a multitude of people. A lot of you are a solution to a problem. And the Lord is saying, have faith and understand that you don't have nothing. With him, you have everything that you need. Be in prayer and ask the Lord what it is that he would like you to set aside. Be in prayer and ask the Lord, what is this thing that I have that you're going to bless? What is this thing that is in my possession that you need? What is this thing inside of me that you're going to use to bless a multitude? Father God, what is it? Show me what it is. Show me what it is. What is this great thing that you're doing? Pray against hindrances. A lot of you are battling witchcraft. A lot of you are battling curses on you by people who see a light in you, by people who are trying to hold up your finances because they know that once the Lord blesses you, you will be unstoppable. It is harder to control somebody with money. It's harder to control somebody who has the means to do whatever it is they need to do. And they want to stop you from being controllable. They want to stop you from getting to this level because once you're at that level, they can no longer control you. They can no longer look down on you. Some of you are dealing with people who want to curse your finances. Some of you are in agreement with somebody right now who's cursing your finances. You're in a relationship right now. You're doing all this work. You're doing everything the Lord told you to do, but you just can't seem to increase because you got somebody attached to you who's taking that favor. Decreasing. You need to be asking the Lord to show you anybody in your life who needs to be removed and be willing to release them. God, you have everything. The Lord is also telling you guys to be mindful of investments. Okay? There may be some money he's asking you to put to the side because there's an investment he's going to need you to make. And that investment is going to be made on faith. It's not going to be a foolish investment. It's not going to be a scam-like type of investment. It may be a ministry that he has you invest in. It may be the birth of your own ministry that he has you invest in. Whatever it is, you need to be seeking the Lord about it. The Lord is giving a divine push into entrepreneurship in this time because in the times to come, there will be a lot of layoffs and a lot of people will not be working. I released a prophetic word last year about layoffs. And the Lord is saying, do not expect handouts for these corporations. I'm hearing self-sufficient. Self-sufficient in the spirit. Amen. Self-sufficient. There will be no job that can supply you with what the Lord is supplying you with. Now, if the Lord has called you to the workforce, that is where he called you. But there's a lot of you who will be entrepreneurs. And he's pushing a lot of his people to be entrepreneurs in this time because it is going to be so necessary. So necessary. My name is Abriah Serenity, and thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, click that like and subscribe button and turn on those notifications so that you don't miss any more uploads from me. I love you all with the love of the Lord, and I'll see you guys next time.